Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Mommies and Money. I hope you are having a fantastic day. I am Kimberly Sulfridge and with the Kids Money Project, and I am here with Paula Weiss of CNS Securities and Insurance. Hello, Paula. How are you doing today?
Hey, Kimberly, I'm fine on this beautiful Wednesday. It's great to see you.
Yes, well, we got some great weather out there today. It's kind of warmed up a
Yes.
little bit.
And windy, so,
It is
it's a
windy.
whatever.
That's right. As long as we don't blow away, we're all good.
We're good. Yes.
Bye. Well, we are coming back to you live on our conversation about giving the female financial mindset a facelift, which is a little bit of a tongue twister there. I don't want to trip on that too hard. But so the last couple of weeks, we have actually been talking about why women have been deferring financial decisions to their spouses. And so today we're going to kind of continue that. We have one more kind of main reason. So the fourth is actually called keeping the peace, which
Mm-hmm.
pretty self-explanatory, I think. But I'll give you the quick kind of rundown on the stats. So about 36% of women feel they're not involved because they feel it's their spouse's money, which,
hmm
you know, that can be
Yes.
going to go back and forth on that one there.
Yeah.
35% don't want to cause disagreements. So again, just kind of keeping that peace, don't want to just have an argument about money. And then 34% don't want to annoy their spouse by second guessing them, which is the one that kind of jumps out at me the most. I don't know about you, Paula. What do you think?
Oh, all of the above. Where do you want me to start? But it's amazing. But what I'm going to say is on the positive side, this is the least amount of women that are not engaged out of our entire survey. So it looks like 65% don't use this as an excuse in order not to be involved with their money. So that's the upside. So if you gals are doing it, congratulations, keep doing it. It's a great job to staying, involved with your finances. But we need to help the other struggling 36 plus percent um, conquer their fears when it comes to talking to their spouse about money.
Mhm. Well, and we were having a conversation about,
Yes.
at what cost does keeping the silence really cause? And
hmm
it can be a big one. As we probably know in this country, money is really about the number one reason that marriages end in divorce. And
Yes.
it's a crazy thing because you think you're in this together, yet I read somewhere, it was the book, what was it, Keeping the Silence or Breaking Money Silence by Catherine Burns Kingsbury. And she was talking about 44% of Americans think the money conversation is the hardest conversation to have with a loved one. So we're not talking about talking to strangers or maybe their financial consultant or anything. We're talking about their loved ones. So the people they should be having these conversations with. And
Correct.
it's harder for them to have that conversation than it is for them to talk about death, politics, or religion, which are kind of the three big ones we
hmm
talk about. And it's harder than those three for them to have that. And of course, the money, it you're in this together, or in a marriage, you're supposed to be in it together.
Right.
And of course, we do talk about this, how you're going to handle your finances in your marriage. Obviously, the optimal time to talk about that is before you walk down that
Prior
aisle.
to, yeah. You get a
Right.
clue when you're dating. It should be your
Yes.
first clue, or living together, and how
Mhm.
you're going to share your finances or what that looks like. But going back to it, I think I've said it before, women would prefer to talk about their sex lives and
Mhm.
their lovers or what's in their lingerie drawer, as I made a couple ladies blush, than to have any discussion about finance and money. They
Mhm.
just think it's disrespectful, it's not ladylike, they shouldn't talk about it. And unfortunately, those women are bringing up their daughters the same way.
Right. Which is where I'm stepping in. I
Yes.
want to change that. I want to
Yes.
get that statistic to change for those that are moving forward and get that generational curse stumped into the ground at this point.
hmm Well, it was
But
funny because Kimberly was reading a book or an article, and I was out and about and waiting for somebody to finish getting their COVID test as I'm scribbling, and we kind of came on the same idea of how we were going to approach this without even having a conversation. And
Mm.
my idea here was that we expect the pilot of the plane to have a co-pilot. The president has a vice president. And what popped in my mind was Jeff Bezos is stepping down, and he had somebody right there next in command to turn around and step into his shoes and take on the challenge. But are you the co-pilot? If in fact your spouse is the one that is the pilot, and that's how your relationship is, are you there to step up? God forbid something happens to him. Are you prepared to take on that challenge? And if you're not, why not?
Right. Well, and it's actually not fair to put all of that responsibility onto one person.
Mhm,
If they feel that it is only their responsibility and that you don't want to hear about it or you don't want to talk about it, then when they come into an issue, maybe they make a bad financial mistake or a bad move, they don't wanna tell you about that because they don't want you to be disappointed. They don't want to feel like a failure. That's kind of the American cultural curse that I'm gonna
mhm,
say. But, we wanna look successful to those around us, our loved ones, our friends, our neighbors.
right.
I mean, we live up in the world where, it used to be keeping up with the Joneses, and now it's the Kardashians. We want to look successful, and sometimes we go to lengths that we shouldn't go to put on that face.
Mhm.
And that's all it is. It's this mask that we wear in front when things may be crumbling behind. And so have that, I love your analogy with the co-pilot and the vice president. And you just look at everything. There's a team in corporations that hold these things together. And you should be teammates in this. This is not
Mhm.
a one person job.
It's your business, it's your life, it's your corporation, LLC, behind your name. That's what you're striving for. That's what you want to leave as a legacy for your children or your charity of your choice or whoever you want to. But the other part is, if in fact you're not involved and there becomes an issue of mental health, or what your spouse's diminished mental capacities and he's not even realizing he's making mistakes, by the time you find out, it's too late to correct it.
Mhm.
So you want to make sure you're on top. So you understand that if you don't open a statement or you don't do it regularly, you may not see the disparity. Yeah, the changes. I can talk. Fix my teeth after this is done. Uh, of what the statements look like because you wouldn't know. So
Absolutely.
I'm your coach. I won't
Well,
get back
and
there.
we started a lot of this series talking about being suddenly single. So, you're talking about if something happens or a diminished
Yeah.
capacity or something, what if suddenly that person's just not there?
Mhm,
You need to know what's going on. And I realize we've probably said that, oh my, 40, 50 times in this. I mean, but we say that so many times because of how important it is. It is
mhm,
essential that because again, that is not a time you want to be surprised and
correct.
try to be figuring out how to do this stuff. You're already emotional as it is, and depending on what else is going on, I- it's crazy trying to balance all of that. And I mean, you're going to make mistakes in there. You're going to miss things, and especially if you don't have any idea what you're even looking for.
Yeah. When you don't know what you don't know, wrote a blog about that. Didn't know what I was supposed to ask, didn't know where to look, didn't know how to find it. I promise you, it will
Mhm.
never happen again, but I don't want to happen to you. I
Right.
want to help you start from the baby steps. Start easy and simple, but be part of it. Make sure you can find everything you need. And if it's a pushback, is it a pushback because how you present your question? Is it an antagonistic way, or is it really saying, I'd really like to know, God, God forbid, I know you're going to be out of town, or, dad just got sick, or whatever the reason as to why, or just saying, I'd like to be educated. I'd like to share that responsibility with you.
Mhm.
Whatever it takes to be able to open that conversation with your spouse.
Mhm.
Um,
Absolutely.
and if you get a pushback, you need to see why.
Yeah, you may have bigger issue that's not just this related. You may
Mhm,
need to take it to another step. So, well, and we know a lot of women feel like they can't have these conversations because they feel like they don't understand their finances well enough. And I get that. And we're not asking anybody to go out and become a financial expert. That is not what this is all about. It's not needed. And but you do need to have a basic knowledge of what's going on because you need to understand your finances. So you need to understand what you have and what that means and where it is. We talk about that a lot.
All the time.
But I found an interesting statistic. And I know I mentioned this to Paula right before we went live because I know she has to deal with FINRA all the time. But this was a
Yeah.
FINRA study uh, where 2/3 of Americans couldn't pass a basic financial literacy test. So
Mhm.
2/3, that's most Americans couldn't do it. And of course, again, that's where I'm kind of wanting to jump in because I know this stuff is not in our school systems. I know parents are not having these conversations with their kids to the extent that they're needing to have them. They are
Right.
talking to them about
Mhm.
money, but I'm wanting to go much further with it. And it's for this reason. This is why we need to be having these conversations. Because if you just do the math on that 2/3, and if you break it
Yeah.
down, 50% women, 50% men, you have marriages and spouses, that means you could possibly be turning over your financial future to somebody that doesn't know any more than you.
Has
And
no
so
clue.
your use of not
Yes.
knowing doesn't
Mhm.
work anymore because you may be turning it over to somebody that doesn't know knows as little about it as you do.
Mhm.
So that's not a reason. It's not an excuse that you can use anymore. So we
Right.
we we got rid of that one for you.
Yeah.
So
Don't want to hear it. No more. We're done. No.
that's right. But,
So keeping the peace at any cost, I don't think it's worth the trauma and the emotional distress and
right,
angst it puts on you. So you need to
absolutely.
see where you can fix that because you need to, if you don't take control of your own emotions and come in strong, not like a bull in a china shop. I
Mhm.
mean, you don't want to do that, but you do want to start having a conversation for your peace of mind, and then you can take that and help teach your kids what it looks like. You don't need to go into the specifics of your finances, but just the basic. Let's see what's in the bank account. Let's see what happens when you use a debit card. Let's see what happens, when there's a big expense and you plan for it, or a big expense when you don't, and how that affects your budget. Just simple conversations that you should be having with your spouse also.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we've decided that silence is no longer good. So we're not
Right.
doing that anymore. We've made that
Yeah.
decision. And so that's not going to happen. And then, we've kind of given you some ideas of what some steps you need to take. And in fact, last time, I think we did a kind of a step by step. We gave everybody homework last time. So
Hmm.
if you didn't watch last time's, go back and watch that one and do
Yes.
that stuff
It's
if you haven't
important.
already.
And it's the right time. It's tax season. You're going to have a
Yeah.
lot of this stuff available to you, and this is stuff that comes hard copy.
Mhm,
Your end of the year tax papers come hard copy. It doesn't go into somebody's email. So unless there's a post office box, it's coming to your house.
mhm.
So take the opportunity to open the envelope because it probably has your name on it also. And if it doesn't, you need to know why it doesn't.
Right.
But
Well, this
check,
is
yeah,
oh,
I'm sorry. Go
sorry.
ahead.
I
Check
was
your
just gonna say these are
beneficiaries.
a good time to have these conversations. You're
Hmm.
absolutely right.
Yeah. Because then you can see you'll be getting your 1099s from all your financial institutions in reference to your dividends and your capital gains and W-2s from your work or 1099s from if you're a contractor. So this is a time to really sit down and don't let it get pushed, and don't turn it over to the CPA or the financial planner or whoever's doing your taxes without taking copies and looking at it and asking questions to your spouse so you understand what you're actually providing them.
Mhm. Well, you have your own best interest at heart, more so than
Mhm.
anybody else.
Right.
So you need to step up and take control of your finances. And this
Mhm.
is perfect
Good
time to
time.
start if you haven't already.
Absolutely.
Well, that is our talk for today, but we will
Yeah.
be back here next week. And we hope you have a great afternoon. If you want to reach out to either one of us, feel free. We'll go ahead and put our contact information kind of below, but obviously this is in the Mommies and Money group, which we are both in. So, if you have any questions or anything about what we talked about today or any of the other days for that matter, just put your questions in the comments. And like I said, we're watching, so
Mhm.
we'll reach out.
Absolutely. So have a wonderful week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you next time.
Absolutely. Like she said, stay safe, everyone.
Bye for now. Bye bye.
Bye bye.